Welcome to the LeadSpot Podcast, Episode 8. Episode 8, Born Digital, How Gen Z is Rewriting the Rules of AI. At only 23, Aidan Buckley has already co-founded two companies, LeadSpot, a global B2B lead generation agency, and outwrite.ai, one of the most promising AI SEO startups in the emerging AI-first search space. As an example, he was recently recognized by HeyReach for his strategic use of their LinkedIn automation technology and is quickly earning a reputation as one of the most insightful Gen V voices in AI adoption, automation, and software as a service creation and GTM engineering. In this episode, Aidan and I explore how Aidan built his technical foundation, what it's like launching a SaaS company before 25, and how Gen Z is reshaping the future of AI. Hello, Aidan. Welcome to episode 8 of the LeadSpot podcast. Thank you so much for your time today. You started out helping to build back-end systems at LeadSpot before most people your age even knew what CRMs were. How did that early experience shape how you think about business technology?
First of all, thanks for having me on, Trav. Second, um, going through my beginning work at LeadSpot, we really were. I really had no idea what I was doing. I remember coming across videos made by the Instantly AI platform on YouTube talking about cold email campaigns, and I remember thinking it would be so easy, being super excited to start at my first campaign. I remember, manually setting up email accounts myself with a YouTube tutorial and warming them up and setting out our first campaign and getting no replies at all. And I thought, you know, um, that it, might not be as easy as I thought. And it took me, a few years, honestly, to really get any traction with cold email. For a while, I thought that it was kind of a waste of time. And it took a lot of learning and trying and you know um, figuring out what other people are doing, because it's very gate kept in the lead generation space. People will show their results on LinkedIn, but not tell you how they did it, or have you comment for a guy that also doesn't tell you how they did it. And um, so I'm really happy that I spent the time that I did, um, kind of failing over and over again. For a while, we sent thousands and thousands of cold emails for LeadSpot with, no positive feedback whatsoever. And during that time, it definitely forced me to learn, how to do it right. And now I'm really glad I did that, because one, I'm able to do this for LeadSpot and actually get traffic, and I'm actually able to do it for Outright now super easily. I can spin up campaigns and I know what's going to work. I know it's not going to work because of all the time that I put in over the first few years of LeadSpot.
You kind of touched on this, but specifically, what were some of the toughest lessons working from inside real business operations? Because this is a real platform for real business to make real money.
Definitely the I just thought it would all be so easy. Everything on YouTube makes it look super easy, and then you get into it and you realize that there's hundreds of other companies, thousands of other people just like you doing the same thing you're doing. So, you realize that you got to be doing more, you got to be doing it smarter, you got to be doing it faster. And if you're not, then you will fall behind, because even in the last 2 years, like the outbound space as a whole has completely changed. And now, like, the term, when I first started, the term GTM engineer wasn't even a thing, and now it's like a job title that giant companies are hiring for. So um, it's definitely changing a lot. It changes super fast. You got to stay on top of it, and yeah, it's not for the faint of heart, I'd say.
When did you realize that building systems like this was something that you had a natural affinity to do?
um, Probably around the time where I found Clay, and I started really getting into Clay and using Clay. That's when I started taking
Now,
outbound
what is
again.
Clay for all its non-Gen Zers?
So Clay is probably the best, I guess, GTM platform that there is. It's basically an engine to bring all of your um, GTM and outbound tools together into one place. It integrates with basically everything, and you can, run AI calls on rows of data and integrate all your tools and make crazy workflows that make, running email campaigns super effective. And you can really get creative. The sky's honestly the limit with it, but for example, you can run a campaign for like an HVAC company. You could have AI scrape Zillow for like the businesses in the area that are on sale to look at the pictures and then see if the HVAC units are out of date, and then write emails based on that. So you can really get like super creative and personalized with your emails, and that's kind of where I started taking it seriously again and realizing that, like, this can work if you just put some effort into it.
How then did technical curiosity, that desire to learn more about technology, eventually point you toward this kind of software and AI as something that you want to pursue?
Well, the SaaS model has been something that I've always dreamt of even before. Well, I guess when even starting LeadSpot, but realizing that having a SaaS company is kind of like the dream model, and when it's successful, because you make something and then people pay you, recurring monthly revenue for this thing that you make once, and then you just kind of maintain and update as you go. And I always thought that that was kind of like the dream model, rather than something like LeadSpot, where it's like a constant, you know, battle with super high churn, and you're always trying to get another deal, and it's just kind of, you're in the trenches. But with SaaS, it's exponential. So I've always thought that that was kind of the dream. And with AI search and all the AI changes, it kind of made it very easy to come up with an idea to, you know, make a SaaS that kind of fits into how things are changing right now, and solves a problem.
So we're moving on through this episode 8 of the Lead Spot podcast, available wherever podcasts are. And I'm going to talk about now the outwrite.ai leap. And you're a young man, you're 23 years old, and I have to think, as I'm hearing you, my thought comes back to what first gave you the idea to develop outright.ai.
Well, honestly, it was my dad's idea. I have to give him credit where it's due. But one day we were like, he's been making for the last, before we made Outright, he was focusing on, this structuring content for AI and getting included in AI and how important it was. And I kind of went in one ear and out the other with that. But then one day he kind of said, as we were getting more and more inbounds from AI, and it was really showing like its value, he said, why don't we just make a platform or a tool that does this for us, makes the content like this for us? Because we had a proven formula, a proven structure for the content to make it so it got cited better. And that's kind of what we baked into Outright, and kind of how it's become what it has now. But yeah, starting it was my dad's idea.
So you had me be one of the beta testers for the platform. And I was impressed by how fast you built the first version, but it had a clear purpose, and you wanted to be first. But then I had to think to myself, okay, nothing like being first. What did you learn about going for it like right now and launching early until waiting until things are perfect?
I think I'm really happy with the way we did it. I think if you have an idea and you're solving a problem, get it out as fast as you possibly can, make the MVP as fast as you possibly can, and don't wait around for someone to do it before you. That's what we were worried about the whole time while building it. Is like, oh God, no one's come out yet. Like, someone hasn't, made it yet. So we were, going as fast as we could to get it out. And I kind of, enjoy the more build in public type, um, uh, build in public type feel to it, like working on it in public, getting feedback from customers and improving on that, rather than, working on it in a vacuum where I think it's perfect and then I release it, and then, all the feedback comes in and I have to change everything. So it's already changed a whole lot from when it first came out, even 2 months ago. It's already a completely different platform now. And that's based a lot on user feedback at this point.
What then were some of the biggest early challenges in building a real product around this new concept, this new paradigm of AI SEO?
Basically, just figuring out how to making it work the way I wanted it to work and feel the way I wanted it to feel. there was definitely a lot of days where I wanted to rip my hair out. Um, but I just kept, consistent. I stayed with it, and it's out there. It's a platform that people use daily now. So I'm super proud of it.
You said before that everything you build has to create visible impact. And I'm curious, what does that mean to you? What does visible impact mean when you think about it, Aidan?
Well, I think that means something like, a customer having like their first, wow moment pretty early on in their journey. And that's kind of what we're aiming for with the feel of the homepage right now with the live AI citation test on it. Anyone can go on there and see if they're being cited, who's being cited, if their competitors are being cited, what content is getting those people cited. And I think that alone kind of makes them start thinking like, oh wow, I'm really not showing up in AI too much. I should start, thinking about this. And then that kind of leads into them realizing like the value of what this is even now. And we're only in 2025 and it's only kind of just begun.
As I experienced, outwrite.ai combines citation tracking, content research, asset creation, and publishing. And as I use a platform, thinking the way I think, I'm like, how did Aidan prioritize these four specific features over other things that other people may have put more emphasis on? You know what I'm saying? Because it's very clear the process flow and how it's done. And I'm like, that had to come from somewhere.
I think the that comes from just wanting to do. I want the platform to do one thing and do it really well. I don't want it to have a million different features that kind of bloat it and aren't used. We've already removed like four or five of the features from the dashboard itself. It's super streamlined now. It's exactly it does one thing, it does it really well, and there's no confusion or bloat to, separate users from what it actually does and what you're supposed to get out of it at this point.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're moving to segment 3 of the LeadSpot podcast, where we talk about Gen Z and the future of AI. Aidan, how do you think growing up surrounding yourself with tech changed the way you approach problem solving?
I definitely think that it was huge for me, obviously. I'm not sure exactly the aspects that, kind of shaped it, but I definitely think I've always just kind of been technical and, you know, surrounding myself with tech has always just kind of, what I've loved to do even since I was like a little kid. Uh, and I don't know, I've always just kind of been that way. And that's kind of, I guess, why I'm here now. I love what I'm doing right now. And it's exactly what I feel like I should be doing right now.
There's a lot of talk about Gen Z being over reliant on automation. Do you think automation and reliance on that is a strength or weakness in these days?
It's definitely both. I think, someone who already knows how to do their job really well can utilize AI to like, push that farther and do it better. But for people who are relying on it to like do the job for them and like get a job based on, work that an AI made or something, that's probably not great. I do think that AI is a little scary, but I have hope that we're gonna not let it take over the world.
What's your process then for deciding when a new tool is worth evaluating?
Well, if I, have an itch, I will go and find a tool that scratches the itch, and then I'll compare it to other tools, and then test them out and pick the best one.
Is there any variable like cost or maintenance or, features that you look at, or is it just what fits your mindset for the problem at hand?
I guess both. I mean, cost obviously comes into play, but if it's obviously obvious the platform's great and it's going to solve exactly what we do and it's going to do it great, and I like the product itself, then I'll obviously pay more because it's worth it. But it kind of depends on what the tool is and what I need the tool for. But yeah, I guess all those factors come into play.
You've said that Gen Z doesn't wait for permission to build. Can you explain that to me? What does that mindset mean?
Well, like I said earlier, I think that, if you have an idea and it solves a problem that you can verify as a problem and you can solve that problem for people, I don't see why getting it out as fast as you can is, would hurt you. As long as you're doing it, securely and safely, and you're not, just like not taking care of anything like in terms of security of the app, the platform, or anything like that. But I do think that just ship it, get it out, see what happens as fast as you can is the best way to do it.
This is all new, but what excites you most about how your generation will shape the future of AI and startups?
I don't know. Honestly, it kind of scares me more than it excites me. I kind of am one of those people that thinks that like AI might like take over the world in a way. And not like in a malicious way, but I just think that it will get so big to a point where we won't be able to control it. And I don't think that's really that far away. So that kind of honestly scares me. But I do also at the same time think AI as a whole is fascinating. And I do think that it's the most powerful, you know, creation that we'll ever see in our lifetime for sure. And I do think it's going to change the world entirely. But I we'll see. I'm intrigued to see where we'll end up in the next, I don't know, 7 years.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're moving on to segment 4, Lessons for Builders and the LeadSpot podcast. Aidan, looking back, what's the biggest lesson you've learned from founding not one, but two companies at what many would consider to be a young age?
My biggest lesson is that everybody is just human. In working with all of the companies we worked with at LeadSpot and Outright, we've worked with some massive companies, multiple billion-dollar valuation companies, and the people that we work with at the end of the day, no one really knows what they're doing. They're all just humans. They all make mistakes, every single one of them. They're just a person just like you. And it's not this like, giant impenetrable wall from you in like the business world. It's just people. So that's my biggest takeaway whenever we talk to someone still. Like it's just like wow, like they're just humans. So it's nothing, there's no like barrier, you know what I mean? No barrier to entry.
Then what advice would you give someone your age who wants to stand up or start their own software as a service or AI product?
My advice would be do it. Go find a problem, solve it, and ship it. um, I think it's a pretty bad time to be a problem. So
It's a pretty bad time to be a problem. I got to remember that one. So you have a guest there with you today.
I do.
Why don't you take a minute and introduce him, I'm sorry, and then, I'll lead into my next question.
Well, this is Tanner Partington. This is the future of Outright AI and LeadSpot. He's been coming in and training and working with us, and he's going to be the next addition to our team, which we're all very excited about. So he's kind of just soaking things up, seeing how it works, and getting his foot in the door.
Well, then yeah, that leads me to this question. How important is collaboration and finding people? You found Tanner who complement your skill set, Aidan.
I think that's super important. I've been saying this whole time. If I just had like a couple more me's on my team, I would be like shipping updates crazy fast, and it would be really beneficial. But that's what we're doing. I think it is very beneficial, and not like my team that I have Jameson and my dad. Like I don't work with them well. Like you need a team that you can work with well. So I do think that's very important.
Well, have you worked with Tanner outside of LeadSpot or AI in any capacity to know that he's a good fit?
Yeah, I have. I've worked with him at Copeland Toyota. We worked at a dealership together, and he got me the job there. And I know that he's a dependable worker, and I know him. I've known him my whole life, so I know he'll fit right in here.
All right, all right. What's one mistake you made that ended up teaching you something very important as you go through this journey?
I think always keep track of your tech spend, because that can get out of hand, and then you can really burn money really quickly on all these tools that are in the market. So I think keeping track and making sure that you're not spending on tools that you don't use is huge, because we've definitely went through that problem a few times.
Last question. How do you stay grounded and focused with so much momentum around AI and startups right now?
Good question. I don't know. I just kind of stay that way. You know, I kind of just love it. I kind of just kind of enjoy learning about it and reading about it and, you know, working every day. So it's kind of easy for me. I don't know.
Aidan, at 23, you built systems, run companies, and now you're shaping how people think about AI visibility. It's been incredible hearing about how your generation approaches this new wave of technology with confidence and clarity. Any closing thoughts as we wind down this episode?
No, I think I'm all good here.
All right, all right. Um, Again, ladies and gentlemen, this is the LeadSpot podcast with Eric, Aidan, and Jameson. We have Jameson on this week with his partner and the future, Tanner Partington. We want to thank you for listening. Check us all out and go to lead-spot.net for more information. We'll
Thank
see
you.
you next time.